We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Our study is based on Panchadasi, chapter 1. And Swami Vidyaranya, the author of Panchadasi, takes us through 65 beautiful verses and shows us our nature as Sat Chit Ananda. When I say nature, it means it is a principle by which we can recognize our real self. The body is an object of consciousness. This is the fundamental thing which we must understand when we come to the philosophical study of Vedanta. Body is not my real nature. My real nature is consciousness. My real nature is awareness. I am aware, I am aware, I am aware. Throughout our life, we are aware, and that is our first nature. That is what is called as the intrinsic nature. And what is the incidental nature? Incidental means it comes and goes. Comes and goes means what? It comes in the waking state, it goes off in the sleep state. With reference to this consciousness, we say the body is coming and going. So our base is consciousness awareness. This is the second point we should understand. Then once we know these two, we should then try to understand what is the nature of the universe which we are perceiving today. To explain the nature, Swami Vidyaranya, from verse number 11 onwards till 36th verse, he gives us a model of how to see this universe as an object of awareness. And we are doing that study of understanding the world. In Tattva Bodha, which is a basic text for Vedanta, which all of you must have gone through, there are 3 levels mentioned there. First level is the physical level, physical body level, at the body level as well as the world level. The second level is subtle body, subtle universe. And the third level is causal body, causal universe. So how are these 3 formed is what we are studying. That is the subject we are studying right now in this chapter. We have finished 25 verses. We are in the 26th verse. And this verse deals with Panchikaranam. We have seen what is Panchikaranam. And Panchikaranam is a process. What is the Panchikaranam? Vidyaranya says that we are all basically jivas with a body, with a gross body. And we are born to do action in this world. When we do action, what happens is, that is, we become karta. I am a doer of action. When we are doing any action, good or bad, we get a result. That result is dependent on the law of nature, the law of the world. So, for the enjoyment of the world, jivas require a gross world and a subtle world. So in this verse, what Vidyaranya says is that Ishvara makes gross elements out of subtle elements. There is a creator of this universe, and the creator is called as Ishvara. This creator, what is the raw material he uses to produce this beautiful universe? The universe consists of the jiva, the bhokta, and the bhogyam, the objects of enjoyment. So what we are seeing now is a process of creation of the world of 5 elements. Very, very deep study. And what Vidyaranya is saying here is the knowledge which is given in the Upanishads. Upanishads have described this process, and that process is what we are studying. In the following 2-3 verses, you will find the process is being described. As we study, you will get to know what is this exact process. So the gross world is seen. See, this is how we should understand what is the gross world, what is the subtle world. The subtle world is known by Sakshi, the consciousness. The gross world is known by the sense organs, together with the mind. Okay? The gross world is created out of tamas. The 3 gunas are there, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva is in charge of the jnana indriyas. Rajas is in charge of the karma indriyas. Tamoguna is in charge of the gross inert objects of the world. Okay, this is just a revision of Tattva Bodha. So here is what we are seeing the process out of in tamas, which is a part of Maya Shakti. See, our real nature is Brahman. Brahman means what? Pure awareness, in which there is nothing. There is no world, there is none. There is only Brahman existing. But for experiences, we have a world made up of 3 gunas. It's a very, very deep science to understand the 3 gunas. Chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita details the nature of the 3 gunas. So tamas is responsible for the gross objects, but it is not a direct method. It is a 2-step method. What we are perceiving today is the gross universe, but before this grossification, there was a subtle element. How does the subtle element become gross element is the subject which we are studying. That is what we should try to understand. The pure subtle element is called as tanmatra. That tanmatra means subtle. It is before grossification. And it is the pure form of prakriti. Prakriti means the 3 gunas. And the prakriti can never be seen. It is a power which exists in the world. See, the whole world is nothing but a power, a Shakti of Ishvara. In this Shakti, objects manifest, objects go out of manifestation. Objects manifest, objects go out of manifestation. That is how the world is. That is how Vedanta presents the world. Now, we will now study the process of how this happens. I will give you this chart here. And then in the next verse, the Vidyaranya himself will explain this particular chart. I started explaining this last time, and so let us take, for example, the 5 elements. And what we have to do is we have to take each element and divide it into 2 parts. One half of the element, we'll call it as X. The other half, we will call it as Y. The Y portion, we will divide it into 4 parts. So half divided by 4 becomes 1/8. So once this 1/8 portion happens, it joins the X of different elements. Okay, I will explain that to you in the next verse. But this is what is the basic thing we should understand. There is a split, like how we study in atomic physics, proton, neutron, similar science we have to apply here. So tamasic portion alone gets transformed, but not the sattva portion and the rajas portion. This is just a background information. Now, Bhagavan is a common name of Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, and Vaishwanara. What are these 3 names given? These 3 names belong to the 3 prapanchas. See, for example, I have a gross body. Similarly, Ishvara also is a sentient principle. When you look at the gross body, he is called as Vaishwanara. Suppose I identified with my mind, that subtle body, then I am called as Taijasa. So I am called as Vishwa when I identify with the gross body. When I identify with the subtle body, I am called as Taijasa. That means I look when I identify myself with the emotions or thoughts, I myself am not then called as Taijasa, mental word. So similarly, all the laws of creation are hidden. So Ishvara's subtle body is nothing but the laws of creation, like gravitation, like the forces which cause the movement of planets. How does the moon go around the earth? All that is decided by the subtle body of Ishvara. Then there is a causal body. Causal body is called as Ishvara. That is a term, is a technical term. The subtle body is called as Hiranyagarbha. You might have come across these terms in Mandukya Upanishad. So these are the 3 terms which are used. And what do you mean by Bhagwan? Bhagwan is a common name given to all 3. Like we say, I am a human being, Manushya. So when you combine the 3, he is called as the Lord, who controls the 3 bodies. Sankhya theory says that the evolution happens by itself. Vedanta says there is a sentient Ishvara who triggers his creation whenever it is required, according to the law of karma. Whenever in a yuga, see, we call it as Treta Yuga, which runs into millions of years. So this whole universe is a non-stop cycle. Continuously it is happening. Waking dream, sleep, waking dream, sleep. 100 years ago also there was a waking dream sleep. 1,000 years ago also there was a waking dream sleep. The nature of the world and the nature of the human beings has not changed. What changes is only the gross body, subtle body. These two keep on changing. So the sentient portion and insentient portion will keep on changing. Okay, the sentient portion is changeless. Sentient portion means what? The consciousness portion. And that is what we are studying. Now, what is the definition of Bhagavan? It's a very, very beautiful, very commonly used definition of Bhagavan, the Lord. Who do we call as the Lord, who has got 6 glories? This is a definition of Bhagavan given in Vishnu Purana. I've given the reference and the exact definition of Lord with the 6 glories is mentioned here. Parasara Muni says there are 6 glories of the Lord. Number 1 is the strength. Number 2 is fame. Number 3 is wealth. Number 4 is knowledge. Number 5 is beauty. Number 6 is capacity to withdraw, which is called as renunciation. Aishwarya means the lordliness, capacity to order, make things happen. For example, a king has got the capacity to order and get things done. A CEO of a company has the Aishwarya. Samagrasya means completeness, limitless. In all these wealth, glories, Lord has got infinite capacity. You and I have got a very limited capacity. Our capacity to produce things are very, very limited. So the first glory is Aishwarya. Second is Dharmasya. Dharmasya means the power of being righteous, virtuous. His righteousness is very, very high. What about his fame, yashas? Yashas comes because of the glory of the name attached to the Ishvara. A chief minister, a prime minister, a president, these are all the names. So Bhagavan is, the name itself has got a power in it. Shriya means Shri means wealth. The wealth belonging to the whole universe belongs to the Lord. What about the Vairagyam? Vairagyam means the power to withdraw, to be not attached. Here, the Lord has got a detachment which nobody can have. And that detachment comes because of Sattva Guna. So if we also develop Sattva Guna, we will also develop detachments from the world. Normal human beings are completely attached to the body, mind, and the world. You may try your best, but then don't try to criticize your body or mind, because the nature of the body and mind is to get attached to the world. That is the nature. Moksha. Moksha means having knowledge about himself. The Lord knows that he is free from the 3 gunas. He is Nirguna Tattvam. He is ever free. What about the Jiva? Jiva has got an inferior Upadhi. Inferior Upadhi means body. Both have got Chaitanya. But what is the difference between a Jiva and a Ishvara? Ishvara is one who is free because he has zero ignorance. We are having ignorance as our main wealth. We are all ignorant about our true nature. That is why we get caught up with this body. And through the study of these chapters, we try to understand and free ourselves from the tamoguna, which is what is called as avidya. So these 6 glories together is called as Bhagavan. Okay, so very beautiful description. You can keep this particular mantra at the back of your mind, or whenever you are writing notes or something. This is the mantra which we should remember. I mean, whenever you want to know, somebody says, what is, suppose your child asks you, tell me who is God. Now, this is what we can say is the definition of God. Now, this God principle is in charge of this process of grossification of the 5 elements. Let's go through this verse now. The 27th verse.
Dvidha vidhaya chaikaikam. Dvidha vidhaya chaikaikam. Chaturdha prathamam punaha. Chaturdha prathamam punaha. Swasvetaradvitiyam. Swasvetaradvitiyam. Shairyojanat pancha panchate. Shairyojanat pancha panchate.
What I explained in the previous verse, the division of the 5 elements is mentioned here by Vidyaranya in the 27th verse. Each element is taken up, divided into 2 halves first. This is the first step. The second step is 1 half gets divided into 4. The same thing happens for Vayu, Agni, Apaha, and Prithvi. Then what happens? The half element remains the same. Take, for example, Akasha. It combines with the 1/8 portion of the 4 elements. 1/8 of Vayu, 1/8 of Agni, 1/8 of Jalam, 1/8 of Prithvi. Together, when that 1/8 is joined, it becomes half, and then the half portion of its own nature, it is there. Then what happens? This half together with the 1/8 portion of the 4 elements, they combine together. Once they combine together, that is what is called as the raw material by which the universe is created. The bodies are created. See, your body, my body is made up of 5 elements. These 5 elements which constitute, which we can see. See, I can see my body, you can see your body. Why you are able to see the body? Because of this process of grossification. Suppose it was not grossified. Suppose we were to look at a body made up of only the subtle bodies without grossification, then it will be like our mind. We will not know. We will not be able to perceive through our eyes. Okay, that is a simple definition. This is a simple process of grossification, which is called as Panchikaranam. In one of the minor Upanishads, this has been given. So there is a pramanam. there is a source of knowledge for this process of crossification. I have got some minor Upanishads in my website. In one of those minor Upanishads where Shankaracharya has not written a commentary. In one of those Upanishads in my website, there are notes of those minor Upanishads. If you go to one of them, you will find this particular process explained in the Upanishad itself. Okay, so I'm not going to go word by word. I have explained to you the whole process. So now we will move on to the next words. These are all simple, but once you understand the nature, it is easy.
तैरङ्गस्तत्र भुवनं तैरङ्गस्तत्र भुवनं भोग्यभोगाश्रयोद्भवः भोग्यभोगाश्रयोद्भवः हिरण्यगर्भस्थूलेऽस्मिन् हिरण्यगर्भस्थूलेऽस्मिन् देहे वैश्वानरो भवेत् देहे वैश्वानरो भवेत् तैजसा विश्वतां याता तैजसा विश्वतां याता देवतिर्यं नरादयः देवतिर्यं नरादयः.
In this 3 lines, Swami Vidyaranya has explained the whole cosmic world. Whole cosmic world, he has explained in 3 lines. See, such a way we can explain in Sanskrit language. The whole cosmos, which consists of devatas, manushyas, and the animals and plants. These are all the jivas. When the jivas, they identify with their subtle body, there is one identification which happens. When they identified with the outside external world, there is another identification. 2 identifications are there. One at the subtle level, one at the gross objective level. That is what he is explaining here. Now, the Puranas say there are 14 lokas, 7 lower lokas, 7 upper lokas. The enjoyments in the upper lokas is higher. The lower lokas are enjoyment is less and less and less. The purpose of coming into this world, what does the jiva do? You see, if you ask the jiva, if you ask yourself, from birth till today, what have I done? I have done actions and I have got some results of actions. I studied in school and college. I got a good job. I earned money. With the help of money, I got some comfort in life and some enjoyments in life. That's all. So all are to do with what? Action and result. The result is what? Enjoyment. Throughout our 70, 80, 100 years of life, what do we get? What do we do? The last day of our breath, we are only doing actions. Not only us, the devatas, the other birds, other creatures, they also are doing actions and getting results. So the whole cosmic egg, it arose from where? It arose from the 5 elements. That is how creation is explained so beautifully in our Puranas. And then when this jiva comes in contact with the subtle body or the gross world, it gets experiences. When, for example, the devata, he identifies with the subtle body, devata's subtle body, what happens? Then he is called as Hiranyagarbha. When the Ishvara identifies with the gross body he is called as Vaishvanara. And he has certain powers. Similarly, in this verse, what it says is the Jivas also, they are known as Vishwa or Taijasa. It is only a description of the name given to the Ishvara and the name given to the Jiva. This whole, and the names are given according to the world. If it is a gross world, a separate name is given. If it is a subtle world, it is a separate name given. Okay, so 7 lower lokas are Athala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talatala, Mahatala, Pathala. These are the names of the 7 lokas given in the Puranas. Higher lokas are what? Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. So totally 14 lokas are there. All these lokas are made up of what? 5 elements. Whichever loka you go, you will only be having the 5 elements which have undergone Panchikara. So Tatra Bhuvanam, these are the 14 lokas, and there is a lord for each loka. Okay. So what is the ashraya for the enjoyment? What are the instruments which are used? The eyes, the ears, the tongue, nose, and skin, they are the support for the indriyas. Indriyas are subtle, but the gross instrument is called as the eye. And then what is the bhoga? Bhoga is outside in the world. Okay, so this is what I've explained to you. Hiranyagarbha and Vaishwanara and all that, the names are explained here. So what happens is, when we identify with the physical body, we become a small individual being. Whereas the Lord, when he identifies with the huge creation, he is called as Virat, Vaishwanara. These names are given in Mandukya Upanishad. Okay, so Virat is the name of the Lord in the gross world in the waking state. What is the name of the Jiva in the waking state? Vishwa. Okay. So each element has got a sthula portion and a tanmatra portion. Tanmatra means subtle, before the Panchikaranam. So the Panchikaranam and Apanchikarana Panchamaha Bhuta. Apanchikaranam means without the grossification. And these two together constitute the entire universe. Okay, these are some revision notes. You can go through them if you have time. You can study them. But these are just some, whatever I explained to you is just mentioned in the form of some revision notes. Next is we'll go to the 29th verse.
Te paragdarshina pratyat te paragdarshina pratyat tatvabodha vivarjitaah kurvate karma bhogaya karma kartum cha bhunjate.
So in this verse, Swami Vidyaranya is only trying to tell us that the sense organs are limited in nature and they have the power only to see the external world. The eyes can see only the form and color. The ears can only hear the sound. That is their nature. That is what he is trying to explain to us, that they are meant for enjoyment of the external objects. The five sense organs have got five sense objects. Individually, they are different. Eyes cannot be used for hearing the sound. Similarly, the ears cannot be used for seeing the form and color. So the body performs actions, and the actions are performed for the enjoyment of the senses. And who is the jiva? The jiva is the one behind the senses. That is what is being explained here. And the jiva is restless for this enjoyment of the objects. Morning to evening, what are we doing? We are using our sense organs and either eating food, jogging, walking. These are all the vyavahara, the transactions which we do. And there is a manufacturing defect in this body. What is the manufacturing defect? The sense organs have got only outgoing tendency. That is explained in Katha Upanishad. This verse is very famous verse. And Swami Chinmayananda uses the term manufacturing defect. Like certain products have got manufacturing defect, our body also has a manufacturing defect. What is the defect? Defect is it cannot see who is the one which is illumining the world. The sense organs can only go outside. Suppose the sense organs were able to see what is happening inside, then the sense organs will know everything which is happening in the mind. The sense organs do not know that, because the cause is the mind. The mind's light falls on the sense organ, and the light goes outside, contacts the objects, and brings them to the mind. That is how the body is. But there are some wise men who want to have immortality. What is the meaning of immortality? Immortality means I am not identified with the body as me. Normal human being is automatically identified. On birth itself, our mother, our parents have taught us that we are the body. I was born on a certain date. Who told us this? It is the mother who told us, you are born to me. When the parents tell us that this body, that you are born, they only are talking about the gross body. They are not aware of the mind. They are not aware of the consciousness which illumines the mind. And that conscious mind which illumines the body. See, the body is born 100% true, physical body. The body will go through sense enjoyments throughout the life. It's true. That is our experience. But some wise people who want to really come to understand, because they have seen the world. Whole world is what it is, that whether I live today or either I live for another 30 years, 40 years, I will just be doing actions, and I will be getting some results of actions. I'll either become a millionaire, or I will have some good house, or I'll have a good wife, good children, they will look after me. All that will be there. But these are all bhoga, only for the gross body. So there are some wise people who try to understand what is happening inside this body. That is the reason why in Katha Upanishad, the seeker, an 8-year-old boy, goes to Lord Yamadharmaraja and ask the question, is there anything else in this body which I don't know? Only you can know because you're the Lord of Death. And the Lord of Death then explains the nature of consciousness to that 8-year-old boy. And the whole Kathopanishad is the story. Okay, that is the background in Kathopanishad. Coming back here, it is the supreme reality. It is that light, the spiritual light of consciousness, which gets reflected in the mind. And then it is this subtle body which has got the identification with the universe. So the moment I don't identify with the universe, then what happens? Then the entire shift is inward. The shift is inward means what? The shift is towards the source of consciousness. That is why we study these Upanishads and also the text like Panchadasi. So identification with the 3 bodies is the jiva. With the physical body, I hanker after with the sense objects. When I identify myself as the mind, then what do I say? That person did not see me today. He disrespected me. Disrespected me means what? Not the physical body. It's the subtle body. I get identified with the sorrow in the mind. Because thought is a subtle body. What about identification with causal body? Causal body means I don't know who I am. All of us have got this basic ignorance. All human beings have got the basic ignorance, spiritual ignorance. Because of the spiritual ignorance only, we become extroverted in life. Suppose I know I am the spiritual essence behind this body. And the spiritual essence behind this body is the same behind the whole universe, which is called as Atma or Brahman. That is what the Upanishad teaches us. So once I understand that spiritual essence, then my identification of the body, gross, subtle, will drop. And then I will be free. Okay? So this chart here is only trying to explain to us what is the nature of our body and what is the nature of the subtle body. Subtle bodies means the mind. Okay? And then what is the law of karma, which is punyam and papam, which gives us sukham and dukkham. This is a very simple chart. All of you already know this chart. So basically what happens is we are all jivas coming into this body because we have punya papam karma in this causal body. Okay? Upadeshasara gives us the basic life principle. Kriti maho dadau patana karanam phalam asaswatam gati nirodhakam. Very beautiful verse. It's a many of you have done Upadeshasara text with me. In the second verse itself, this text says that the impermanent result of this universe. See, we perform action, but then the result is what? Impermanent. It is not nitya phalam. Any karma, any action will only give anitya phalam. So we are searching for that Nitya Sukha. That is why we take this birth after birth after birth, again and again. We try to come back to the same world. All of us, we come back to the same universe. After leaving this body, we take another body and then come back to born in another parent, with another parent, another family, another environment, and that's all. It keeps on going. That is how the Shastras, they describe samsara. Next verse.
नद्यां कीटा इवावर्तात् नद्यां कीटा इवावर्तात् आवर्तान्तरमाशुते आवर्तान्तरमाशुते व्रजन्तो जन्मनो जन्म व्रजन्तो जन्मनो जन्म लभन्ते नैव निर्वृतिम् लभन्ते नैव निर्वृतिम्.
In this verse, Swami Vidyaranya laments. He says, what is this whole life of a jiva? It is compared to a kita. Kita means a worm. Suppose a worm is there and it gets slipped into a river. And then it goes round and round according to the waves which take that kita from one shore to another shore. So if we are like that worm which keeps on, which has fallen into the ocean of samsara. We have all fallen into this ocean of action, reaction, action, reaction, action, reaction. What we need to do is come out of this cycle of samsara. Okay, that is the essence behind this verse. The same thing is mentioned in Ishavasya Upanishad also. Asurya nama te lokaha andhena tamasa vritaha. So we are born and then we go through this cycle of samsara. Again we are born. Kathopanishad is also the same thing. Whatever we see in this world is the same thing which we see in the other world also, because there also in the other world also there's a birth and a death, birth and a death. So from one death of one body in one loka, we go to another death of another body in another loka. So what is the great fun in being a jiva? Because of this repeated cycle of birth and death, which is explained in the Puranas, which is explained in our scriptures, a person who doesn't have the knowledge of the spirituality behind it, if I don't know my Atma, I will be continuously born and gone. That is the portion of the entire samsara cycle. Okay, next verse. I'm not going to the depth of this because it's very simple verse.
Satkarma paripakatte Satkarma paripakatte Karunanidhinodhrutaah Karunanidhinodhrutaah Prapya Tirat Prapya Tirat Vishramyanti Yatha Sukham Vishramyanti Yatha Sukham.
So Vidyaranya summarizes all what we do in this life and what happens if you have got some punyam in life, what happens to you. See, these last 2-3 verses is a part of creation where a jiva is slowly coming out of that Panchabhutas. Panchabhuta in the world we have explained. Now the Jiva's predicament is what? He is born and he is suffering. Now here in this verse, Swami Vidyaranya says that there is a, don't think that there is only this particular problem in this life of samsara. In the same universe, in the same loka, it is possible. What is possible? That worm which fell into that river and is going round and round in the river, according to the prarabdha karma, according to the wave, the wind wave, the wind of prarabdha, the wind in the ocean is what? That is compared to the prarabdha karma of the jiva. So he says that sometimes there is a compassionate guru who comes in the life of a jiva. All of us are blessed to have a guru who is trying to take us out of this samsara cycle and become free. So in a poetic fashion, Swami Vidyaranya says that don't worry, you are going to have a good time because you have done some satkarma. You have done some good actions in the past. You see, all of us, we don't know what actions we have done, good actions in the past. We may have done some good actions. We may have feeded the poor. We may have helped some people in distress. See, our karma is not only this birth. This birth is very small portion. Prarabdha karma is very small portion. Sanchita is very big. All the rituals we may have done, japa we may have done, because of the past karma, we have got some punyam. The punyam is fructified now. Therefore, we are able to get a guru who will take us out of this samsara dukkham. Even in Vivek Chudamani, the same message is given. And a guru is a compassionate person. The guru already knows his nature. I am free. He is a Jivan Mukta. But then he has got karuna. Karuna means compassion. And he will help us to come out of this samsara. It is a Mahapurusha who comes to lift us from this Jivatva Bhava to Ishwaratva Bhava. Okay, so that is what is being explained here. From the next verse onwards, 32 onwards, we are going to see Panchakosha Viveka. See, in this first chapter, Swami Vidyaranya takes both the Panchakosha Viveka method and also the Mandukya portions of the three states. So the next few verses which we are going to see, first we will do the Panchakosha Viveka. After that we are going to do Avastatraya Viveka. Why are we studying this portion? Both these portions will tell us that we are the spiritual Atma consciousness principle, which is different than the five koshas and which is different than the three avasthas. The three avasthas belong to the mind, but I am not the mind. The pancha koshas, they belong to the anatma. I am Atma. So that is the portion we are going to start from today. I'll just introduce the Pancha Kosha in this verse, and then next week onwards we will do the Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, and all that. Okay, let's go through this verse.
Upadeshamavapyaiva Acharya Tattvadarshinaha Acharya Tattvadarshinaha पञ्चकोशविवेकेन पञ्चकोशविवेकेन लभन्ते निर्वृत्तिं पराम् लभन्ते निर्वृत्तिं पराम्.
So in this verse, Swami Vidyaranya only introduces us. And what does he say in this verse? He says the Guru is there for a Jiva. What is the nature of the Guru? The nature of the Guru is he has identified himself as Aham Brahma Asmi. He knows clearly, very clearly, I am that pure consciousness. He does not identify with his body as the self. The body goes through the three avasthas. He says, I am not the three avasthas. The body goes through the five koshas, but he says, I am not the jiva who is identified. He says the self, the awareness is different from the five koshas. Kosha means what? It is a covering. So this is an introduction to the five koshas. The student is in Jagrat, in the world. The Shastra is also in the world, in the Jagat. The Guru is also in the world. And we use the Guru, what does he do? He uses the Shastra. Shastra means what? Upanishads. And the essence of the Upanishads, he brings it out. Like, for example, Vidyaranya here is using Taittiriya Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad. Vidyaranya is not talking about five sheets by himself. It is not his imagination. Upadesha Sara has got the first verse. Karturajñā prapyate phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam. Upadesha Sara, written by Swami Maharishi. What does he say? What he is saying is, karma will only give results which is anitya. So drop the karma and come to jnanam. That is what is the message which is Vidyaranya wants to convey. Now, what is the definition of Acharya is mentioned here. Achinoti Shastram Artham. I will take up this definition and we'll start from this particular slide number 240 next week. This is who is a Acharya? Is a definition. This is a definition. It is generally used in all the Vedantic schools, and I will go through this next week, and then we'll go into the five koshas. Okay. So from now onwards, next week onwards, we're going to study the five sheets which cover the spiritual essence in us. Okay, so I will stop with this. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.